If you've spent time interacting with other anglers, then chances are you've heard this joke. Hey bro, do you want to know a really good recipe for how to cook carp? Yeah man, I'd love to know. This is what you do. You get your carp, and then you get a cedar plank. Okay, cedar plank, got it. And then you throw the carp away and just eat the cedar plank. Because carp aren't good eating, so you just eat the wood. I'll see myself out. Here's the thing. Most of the people that told this joke have actually never even tried carp before in their life. My interest was sparked a couple of years ago when I made a survival video. I went out and I made a spear, and I actually speared a carp, and I cooked it over a fire, and honestly, it was not bad at all. So that got me thinking, is carp really as bad as everybody says? Well, today, I'm gonna find out. I'm going to go to my local lake, catch a carp, then I'm going to bring it home, prepare it, then we will cook it, and we will see if carp is actually as bad as that joke makes it sound. This is a challenge. Can I make carp taste good? Let's go. Alrighty guys, so we made it out here to the lake. As you can see, this is the area where I'll be trying to catch a carp today. Fun fact, I actually caught my first carp ever right over there. So this is my old stomping grounds. I grew up here. Now the reason why I chose this particular spot is because it's a shallow bay with a lot of cattails, and during this time of the year, which is like just the beginning of May, the carp are going to start to move into these shallow areas around the cattails to begin to spawn. So that is what we're hopefully going to do. We're going to put out a couple baits and see if we can't pick one up. As far as my actual carp fishing setup for today, very simple. I'm going to go with some canned corn right here. This stuff works wonders for carp. As you can see, whole kernel right here. I'm basically just gonna rig up a very standard bottom rig with a hook and a weight and a bunch of corn, throw it out, and then chum the area with a couple handfuls of corn and let it sit. Very simple, yet very effective. Got something here. Not sure what it is. That was pretty fast. Oh yeah, that's a carp right there, nice. Just like that. Woo-wee. Here, boy. Alrighty guys, first carp of the day, a beautiful fish, probably go around, I don't know, 4 or 5 pounds right there. Perfect size fish for this experiment. So I'm definitely gonna be keeping this one right here. That was crazy. I put my first rod out and I started rigging up the next rod, and boom, in like 7 minutes I had this fish on. So very nice fish. So the first thing I'm gonna do is club this fish and kill it. The second thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my knife and actually bleed this fish out. Carp are actually very bloody fish. And one of the things that I've learned over the years of fishing is that when you're dealing with a really bloody fish, if you want to take one home and keep it, the first thing you should do after you catch it and kill it is bleed it out. Getting that blood out of the system helps keep the meat of that fish tasting fresh and nice. So that is what I'm gonna do. Like I said, bleed the fish out, and then we'll take it home and we'll start cooking. Alrighty guys, so I'm back here at the house. I got my cutting board, got my knife, and I got my carp, and now it is time to start butchering. For this, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to cut basic fillets off this fish and then skin those fillets out so we have nice skinless fillets of tasty carp meat. Alrighty guys, the next step in the butchering process is going to ensure that these fish taste as good as they possibly can. As you can see, when you look at these fillets right here, there is a white lateral line that runs parallel along each one of the fillets. I am going to cut about an inch thick strip out of each one of these fillets following that lateral line down. You may be asking, why? Well, it turns out right around this lateral line, there is a lot of fat and a lot of dark meat. And that meat actually holds a lot of flavor. And one of the things that I've learned when going out on walleye charters and bringing the walleye back is that the captains will a lot of times, again, cut that inch thick strip out because they say that meat has a really strong taste, and so by taking it out you ensure that the fish has a much milder, nicer taste. And I'm sure carp, if anything, is going to have a very strong taste, so I'm going to remove this strip out of each one of these fillets, and hopefully that'll help with the overall flavor of the fish. Alrighty guys, the next step in preparing this carp is to brine it. That's right, I am going to brine this carp in a milk solution to help improve the flavor. I have done this before with other strong flavored fish and it has worked wonders. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some salt, take some milk right here, pour it into a bowl with my fillets as you can see. Then I am going to add some lemon juice. Then I'm going to seal this thing with some saran wrap and put it in the fridge overnight. Alrighty guys, so I let the fillets brine overnight. Now I am going to cook the fish. As you can see guys, here is some of the carp right here. And one last thing I'm going to do before I actually season and cook this stuff is I'm going to take a knife and actually remove some of this gray meat that's still on the surface of this fillet. So I'm going to do that real quick and then we're going to season it and cook it. This gray stuff is actually just fat that was still on this carp fillet. As you can see, my fingers are all greasy. Carp is actually a very, very oily fish. So I just removed some more of this fat just to make sure that it doesn't overpower the actual flavor of the fish. Alrighty guys, when it comes to seasoning fish, I usually try to keep it simple. I have seasoned salt right here. This stuff's great. And then I also have some garlic powder. That's it. Seasoned salt, garlic powder. Gonna coat this fillet in that. Then we're gonna heat up the pan and fry it. Alrighty guys, I got my pan right here and I'm just gonna put a little bit of butter in the pan. Of course, butter makes everything taste good. And I figure since I'm cooking carp, I need all the help I can get. Now, one mistake that people make when they are frying fish is they generally cook it way too long and they overcook it, and then the flavor doesn't taste nearly as good. So for a fish like this, I'm going to cook it very, very delicately. I'm gonna do a quick sear on both sides, maybe a couple of minutes in the pan, then I'm gonna pull it off and we'll see what this stuff tastes like. Alrighty guys, got my pan hot right here. In goes the fish. Now like I mentioned, I'm not gonna cook it very long at all. I'm gonna cook it kind of like you cook tuna. You don't overcook tuna. You just basically sear the sides and pull it off. Alrighty guys, the carp is done frying. Now it is time for the taste test. I have a little bit of lemon right here, which I will be using, and I just have some water to kind of cleanse and prepare the palate. Okay, so without further ado, let's taste this carp and see what it tastes like. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take a nice chunk right out of the center. I do have to watch out for some bones though, because I didn't do a very good job filleting. Alrighty guys, here is the bite of carp going in. Alright, so I got the first bite down, and obviously I am not gagging and vomiting. But before I give you my in-depth opinion, I'm going to put a little lemon on this stuff and see if that affects the taste at all. Alrighty guys, so I've taken a couple bites of this carp, and I have kind of formed an opinion on the flavor. Now, first off, right off the bat, this is not the worst thing I have ever tasted. This is not by any means the worst fish I have ever tasted. But this fish has a strong flavor. It's not necessarily a fishy flavor, it's not necessarily a muddy flavor, but it definitely has somewhat of a strong taste to it. And I think that's just due to the fact that this fish is very, very oily, like I mentioned. And generally, an oilier fish like this with more of a dense meat is going to have a lot more of a strong flavor than, say, a mild fish like a bluegill or a crappie or a walleye. As a matter of fact, that's why those fish are so good, and it's why they are so revered in the actual whole cooking scene, is because, again, they're very, very mild flavored fish. This is not mild at all. This definitely has more of a stronger, almost beef-like flavor to it, but not beef. Another thing that I noticed about this carp is that I can actually taste the water that this fish came out of. It tastes similar to the actual lake water. Not necessarily in a muddy sort of way, but I want to get some other people's opinions first. Alrighty guys, this is my little sister Lydia right here. Lydia, do you like fish?
Yes.
She loves fish. Okay. Take a bite of that carp and give me your honest opinion as to how you think it tastes. Forget about what I said. Get a bite and see what you think.
That's good. It's actually really good.
You like
it?
it?
Yeah.
Okay, she likes it. Isaiah, why don't you get in the hot seat and try some of this fish? You guys know Isaiah from other videos. Isaiah, would you say you're a little more picky as to the flavor of your fish?
Not really.
Not really? All right, give it a shot.
I like a little lemon on my fish. Any bones there?
What are you thinking?
Got a little too much lemon that time.
Okay, a little too much lemon?
We'll
All
try
right,
it
yeah, try
again.
another piece.
I would say overall, a lot better than I expected.
Yeah, a lot better than you expected. Good.
But there is something there.
All right, so my little sister absolutely loves the fish, and my little brother is kind of torn on the fish. So I'm gonna go take this fish to my sister, Jerry. Now, let me just tell you something about Jerry. Her hobby is food. She loves to cook. She is a master, in my opinion. She cooks like some of the most amazing food ever. So I'm gonna take this fish to her and see what her opinion is. Again, she has more of a refined palate than I do, and we'll see what she thinks. Alrighty, guys, I got my sister Jerry right here. Now, Jerry, I would say that you're somewhat of a foodie. You love to cook. You definitely have a very refined palate. Would you agree with me?
Well, yes.
Okay. So you have strong opinions on fish?
Yes.
Okay, she knows what she likes and she knows what she doesn't like. All right, I wanted you to try that carp right there and see what you think. Give me your honest opinion. And you might have to try a couple pieces right there. Try to get a good cross section. That's pretty good. Yep. All right, fish is going in. All right. The face. Okay, I'm getting some interesting facial expressions. So, my takeaway from this is that it's not necessarily fishy, it's not necessarily muddy, but it has a very strong, almost beef-like, earthy flavor to it. Would you say I'm correct?
It's got kind of a dirty flavor.
A dirty flavor, okay.
Dirty.
So you would say you can taste the water the fish came from?
I would think that. But
Yeah,
that's
okay,
just
and
me.
I would agree with you. How, other than that, does it taste necessarily bad to you?
No, the texture's a little odd, but I don't.
The texture's odd, yeah. It's a very firm fish.
It's no. I've had worse though.
Yeah, you've had worse. Like I've had catfish that taste worse than this.
Yeah. No,
For sure.
I'd
Okay.
probably sit down and eat that.
You would eat it? All right, so not too bad.
Yeah.
All right. While I'm over here actually finishing up the intro, my little sister has literally devoured the whole plate of carp. So I guess you like carp, Lydia.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
She likes carp. So what is my final verdict on carp when it comes to actually cooking it and eating it? Well, let me just say this. Carp tastes a little weird. It definitely does not taste like any other fish I've really eaten before. The actual texture of this fish is different. It has almost more of a beef-like texture, and it does not have the texture of like a walleye or a crappie. They have more of a delicate, flaky texture. This stuff, again, has more of a robust, firm texture. So that is a little bit weird. When it comes to the actual flavor, it's not bad. Like I said, I've had catfish that tastes worse than this. But there are some things that are a little bit and that kind of leaves me with an inconclusive answer about this carp, because the actual body of water that I got this carp from is not clean at all. As a matter of fact, it's one of the dirtiest lakes around. It's muddy. The water smells kind of weird. It is by no means a crystal clear spring-fed lake. So I think that actually played a part in the overall flavor of the fish. Like me and my sister mentioned, we could actually taste a bit of the flavor of the water, and it wasn't the most pleasant thing in the world. Again, it wasn't necessarily like revolting, but it just had kind of a weird taste to it. So that has me thinking, I caught a carp out of a dirty body of water, and it tasted okay. What would happen if I caught a carp out of a crystal clear, spring-fed creek? Would it taste any better? Well, you're just going to have to stay tuned to the channel to find out. That is what I'm going to try next. I'm going to try and catch a carp out of really clean water, prepare it similarly, maybe tweak the recipe a little bit, and see if we can't get a divine culinary experience. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Like I mentioned, I'm going to do another video where I actually catch a carp out of a really clear creek, and we're going to test that out and see if it tastes any better. Stay tuned for that. That is coming soon. If you guys want to support the channel, check out the links in the description. And as always, stay hooked. I'll see you later.